everybody, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you guys are all having an amazing day today. So I decided to make this video because recently I've gone through some events and honestly I've been really disappointed and just really upset, and I thought that this would be a great video to film how to deal with disappointment and how to deal with things that don't go our way. So disappointment is definitely something that I think everybody goes through. Doesn't matter what season of life you're in, things happen that you get your hopes up or you get excited about something and it just doesn't happen or it doesn't go your way, then you end up feeling disappointed. For example, maybe you're really hoping for a promotion at work, or you're really hoping to get into a certain school and it doesn't happen, and then you get really disappointed, really upset, and even depressed maybe. Honestly, something that I really struggle with, and my husband always tells me this, is that I tend to be negative towards certain situations so that I don't get disappointed. For example, like if I'm waiting for an answer for something, or I'm waiting for something to happen, I'll get like super negative. I'll be like, no, it's never gonna happen, like it's just not gonna work out, and I get negative so that if it doesn't work out, I don't end up being disappointed, and if it does work out, then I end up being surprised. And honestly, that's like in my head it makes sense and it helps me, but then my husband's always like, you're so negative, you're negative about everything. And it's honestly true. I do end up being negative towards situations so that I don't get disappointed. So that is something that I struggle with and that I'm still working on. But I thought of a couple ways that really help me when dealing with disappointment. What I always have to remember is that I gave my life to God, and so God is in control of everything that goes on in my life. I dedicated my life to Him. I said, God, my life is in your hands, and so He deals with everything, every circumstance, everything that comes in my way. God is in control of it. And then there also comes a danger with that, because there's this voice in my head that's like, okay, if God is in control of it, if things don't happen the way I want them to, then it's God's fault because God's in control. But in the end, that's not the answer to it. Us as people, we want to blame someone all the time when something goes wrong in our life. We either blame God, we blame ourselves, we blame people around us. What we don't understand is maybe that God is just protecting us from something. So in Romania, we live in rent, and with the baby coming, me and my husband, we both really wanted to find a little house that we could live in, and it could be ours, and we could grow our family there and continue doing mission work. And so we were looking for a house, and we've been looking and looking, and finally we found something that we were both like, okay, maybe this could be it. It was in the village, it was cute, it was like perfect. And so I got, of course, negative, and I was like, no, it's never gonna happen, just because if it doesn't happen, I won't be disappointed. Of course. And my husband's like, stop thinking about it like that. Stop being so negative. Be positive. What if it does happen? What if this is our house? What if this is what God had prepared for us? And so we went to go look at this house, and we noticed that there was a lot of mold. You could smell mold in the house. There was mold on the roof. There was mold just everywhere, and obviously it wasn't the house for us. We'd have to completely destroy everything and rebuild it from that mold. It wasn't a good idea. And that's a lot of money invested. And also I was thinking, we'd bring the baby there, and that's not a good environment for a newborn baby to just be in a bunch of mold. And so honestly, I was really disappointed, and I was like, wow, I thought this was the house. I was so excited. Me being a girl, I was already on Pinterest making boards of how our house, we were gonna decorate it, and where we were gonna put the baby's crib and the baby's room, and how we were gonna do our room. And I was honestly really, really excited about it. But at the same time, I understood that it didn't happen because God was protecting us from something. We could have gotten the house and we could have lived there, but maybe something bad would have happened. Maybe the mold would have affected the baby or myself or my husband, and it would have been worse in the end. And so God was protecting us from something that could have been bad for our family. I know my husband once told me this story. He got a really good job, I think while he was still in high school. And he made a vow to God. He said, God, if you give me this job, I'm going to go to church more often. I'm going to pay my tithe. I'm going to give to the poor. Just give me this job. I really want this job. And so, of course, God gave him this job, and he got hired. And I don't think even 3 months went by and he got fired from this job. And back then he was like, oh, it's God's fault. Why did God get fired? If God gave me this job, God took it away from me. What did I do, But what he didn't realize is that once he got the job, he didn't keep his vow to God. He didn't go to church anymore because he was busy with work. When he'd come home from work, he was tired. And so that was hindering and hurting his relationship with God. So think about your situation, whatever you're disappointed in. Maybe you didn't get into that school you really wanted, or maybe you didn't get married this past year like you wanted or something. I don't know what could be going on. But just think that maybe God is protecting you from something that could harm you or something that could hurt your relationship to Him. So the second thing that really helps me is thinking that God is preparing something better for me. And this ties into relationships. So my previous relationships before I met my husband, and I'd get heartbroken and upset and disappointed from that heartache or from that breakup. If only I would have remembered that God is preparing someone way greater and way better for me, which is my husband. The Bible verse that comes into my head, and I went to go get my Bible, I hope I'm still in the same frame, is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans for welfare and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. That's the ESV version. This Bible verse is very common. Everybody, uses it in sermons. That God knows the plans He has for us. And it literally says, not for destruction, not for harm, but for a future, for a hope. And so while you're going through the disappointment you're going through, if it's the breakup or it's whatever is going on, think about that. God is not planning things for destruction for you. And sometimes it can feel that way whenever you put your life in God's hands and things don't go according to how you want them to. You're like, God, what is going on? It feels like my life is falling apart. But remember that God has a future for you. God has a hope for you. His plans are not for destruction or not for harm. He's either protecting you for something and He's preparing something better for you. So I hope that this video encourages you. I hope that this speaks to you. I know that I need this advice too, that it's not easy going through disappointment, going through life, and hoping things will happen and they don't. But I pray that you stay encouraged. I pray that you continue fighting and you continue going through life, and you don't blame God for things that go on, but rather you thank Him in trials and in tribulations, because you know He has a future and a hope for you. So I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. God bless.